Come on in, welcome to my home. I'm CM Coleman, and today we are going to do some repotting because, I really needed to do this, and I have something really cool because I don't know if you remember maybe last year, a year before, I tried growing a Venus Flytrap. Didn't go well. Didn't go well at all. I've got a surprise for you, but we'll get to that first. So today we are just going to do some taking care of my plants and some repotting, especially some potting of some of the plants that I had snipped off so that I could then do some rooting of them, and they got rooted. I'm rambling now. But the first thing we are going to do is we are going to do the Venus Flytrap, and like I said, at the end of this there'll be a surprise, but let's get going and get that done. The first thing I'm going to plant up is a Venus Flytrap that came in a kit. I will try to link the kit down there, but this is supposed to come with everything you could possibly need to grow a Venus Flytrap. Now, I have tried to do this before and have had very, very, very bad results from this. And I don't want to tell you what's going to happen with this one, but you will see where we are at now a few weeks later at the very end of this video. It comes with just about everything that you need. The Venus Flytraps themselves are all wrapped up. You get two, you get the moss, you get everything, and the instructions are really, really good with this. You just need to follow them. And so that's what we did. So one of the first things we're going to have to do is we are going to have to pre-soak all of the pellets, I guess you'd call them, the pellets that there come with the kit. Alright, so now we're going to take our pellets, put them into that lovely little bowl, and this is the easy part. We are going to put warm water in the bowl and let these soak. They do need to soak for a good amount of time. I'm going to put my live Venus Flytraps in the container and let it go. Once the pellets have soaked, pour out the excess water. Really, really simple so far. And then you break apart the pellets. I mean, they're in these little bags that come apart. I mean, they're for basically starting seeds, that sort of thing. So you break these apart and put them into the container. Once the pellets are in the container then, or actually once everything is it's basically peat moss, you're going to then take your plants out of their little containers, remove the paper towel or whatever it is that is wrapped around them, and then you will just simply and easily plant them into the moist soil. Now, one of the big things to remember about these is that Venus Flytraps are bog plants, so they want the soil to be pretty darn wet. And this time I've been really paying attention to that. So I've been keeping the soil pretty darn wet. And also they want to either have distilled water or you're not using tap water. I'm using distilled water that I think it's a baby distilled water, which whatever that exactly means. I don't 100% know, but it is a water that it's been filtered, it has been processed, it has been distilled, so it doesn't have all the minerals and everything. But the big thing to remember is you want to keep this soil as moist as it is right at this moment for the rest of the life of the plant. You can put the lid on it, which will then turn it into a terrarium, and that's all great, but then it's all ready. The next plant that we are going to do is actually we are going to repot a plant. So what I like to do when I'm repotting a plant is I like to get out my soil, and then the big thing which I think is super important about this is to wet the soil. Make the soil so it is moist, so it would hold together if you squeeze it, but when you squeeze it, you don't want water to run out. You don't want it to be dripping with soil. So, of course, the little watering can was not doing anything. So I decided then I would add water from the sink sprayer. I got everything nice and moist, and it really does need to be moist. It needs to be able to hold its shape when you then put it into whatever container that you're going to do. And I'm testing the water, making sure that it is not just sopping wet. I did put a coffee filter down in the pot so that way the soil doesn't run out. But there's something else about this which I think is kind of clever, and I've seen this on lots and lots and lots of gardening shows, where if you're trying to pot something up, use a container. You either use the container that the plant is in, or use a container of the same size, so that way you can get the soil around it lightly packed in there. It will hold its shape, but you aren't going to then give too much space to the plant. You want it to be sort of just hugging the plant when it comes out of the pot. And this one's going to be a really interesting one, because the pot that it is in right now, because we are going to be repotting my pothos, which if you've seen any of the other videos or cleaning my house or anything, you know that pothos has grown considerably. And I mean considerably. We have leaves that are like the size of my hand right now. So it is big, it is spread out, it is everywhere. So I know that I need to make sure that there is enough soil in there so that it will give the plant enough room to grow into. I do know that pothos do not horribly mind being pot bound, but they do like to have a container upsized every once in a while. So this is me doing that. And the important part about that is I did really, really, really want to make sure that soil is moist, that soil is ready to go. And I'm ready to go with this, because this is going to be a couple step process, because even though the soil is there and I need to make sure that there's enough soil for the whole thing, it's going to be not that easy, because I know that plant has been in there forever. So once the pot is ready, we will be ready to take the pot to the plant, not the plant to the pot. When you see the pot, which is going to be right in here, you'll notice that yes, that pothos is growing. It is growing to the point where you can see it starting to go up the bookcase, and yeah, you'll get to see all these plants in the end. But I am using a offset spatula to try to make sure to get that plant out, to get the pothos out of the pot, because it was so root bound and so rooted in there. It really did not want to come out at all. So that offset spatula was just wonderful to help pry the roots away. And then once the roots were pried away, this became the easy part, to just simply move the pot over to the plant gently, and I mean ever so gently, pull it out and press it in. And since we made that great spot for the plant to be in, we didn't have to have all the problems of digging it out and jostling it around and trying to figure out what to do with it. Instead, I could just put it in place in no time. I have my plant all repotted, and there it is, repotted. Like I said, you'll get to see the big picture of it. Now comes a few other things. These were plants that I've either propagated or they came along with other things. I am not going to say the names of these plants and butcher them, but every time we put a plant in, I will put that up on screen so that you can see these. The first one that we are going to do is actually a pretty good sized plant. And so, like I said, this is the same steps as before. Make sure that your soil is nice and moist, not wet, but moist. And so that it holds when you squeeze it, it will hold itself together, but not drip water. And that was the big thing to try to make sure that I did, was make sure that it did not drip water, but it did stay together. I don't need as much soil because the first plant that I'm planting up is already sort of potted in a way. And I'm now washing off my hands because I'm realizing, hey, my hands are really dirty. So now that the soil is in a fairly good shape, and I'm making sure to get all of it nice and wet, and you notice how it sort of holds its shape, now we are going to go ahead and try to put some of that soil into the pot. It is a little wet, but it'll be okay. So I put some soil into the pot, lightly tap it down, get the soil up on the sides, because that is something a lot of people do forget. They forget that they need to have some soil on the sides around those roots, so that way the roots have somewhere to grow. Then we get out our little plant. I'm looking at this now. When you see this plant at the end of this is probably going to surprise you. I'm making sure to pack everything in there, seeing that we have enough room so that it fits nicely, and we have enough, there's enough of a lip that we can, when we water it, the water doesn't just run right out. Then once everything is all set in there, I am ready to gently take that plant out and put it into this pot. It makes life so much easier doing that. You don't have all the hassle of trying to get the dirt in around it because you've already gone through that step. This is the way I would say I would do these things forever and ever. This is how I'm repotting. I don't know when I learned how to do this. So then I'm giving it a nice good shot of water, but we still have a couple other plants to do. These are much smaller because these are actually cuttings from other plants. I propagated these myself by just cutting them and then putting them in water, setting them into a sunny windowsill, and then I can take them out of the water that they're growing in, put the roots down into the container with the soil, put a little bit more soil around them, and we are ready. And it is really funny, like I said, with the other plant. It's really funny to look at these now because I was just in the room where the plants are. They've changed. They've changed a little bit. So I get that one all potted up. We have one more to do the exact same way. It is another cutting. We will root that guy up, and it will be really nice. These plants, they look... I didn't know if I'd actually be able to root them this way because I'd rooted plants by dipping them in rooting hormone and then putting that cutting into the soil, but I hadn't had a ton of luck by rooting them in water and going from there, but we're doing it. So then we go and we put our little plant into its container, put the soil around it, make sure that it has enough room to grow, make sure that there's enough room for it to be happy, at least for a little while. That's the big thing. These plants need to be happy for at least a good while, and I think I did that fairly well with these. Making sure that I'm not putting anything that shouldn't be in there. Then we need to think about cleaning the area up once we get everything all watered in. But we aren't even close to being done. And I'm making sure that everything gets a good drink because for at least a little while you want to make sure that these things stay fairly moist in their nice sunny window. But let's move on to our next plant. Our next plant is actually a pine that I've wintered over inside the house from November till now. I'm just putting this in this large container, filling it with soil, and I'm also using the compost that I do myself. I have an electric composter. You've probably seen that video. If not, you can check that out. And so I make my compost, which realistically is just dried plant matter. It is dried, sort of ground up, and then it becomes its own kind of compost. I will go through and make sure that all of that is mixed in. And this, I was shocked that this thing even survived the winter in my house, just in a nice windowsill, in the plant pot that it came in. I did not repot that or anything. So then I'm doing the same thing that I did before. I take it out of its container and we bury it in the soil. Now this pot is a self-watering container. It has a little thing on the side which lets me see how much water is there that's in there. Now I'm realizing, yeah, you put in too much soil. It happens. You just need to pay attention to what you're doing. So once we realize that we have too much soil, I will take some of that soil out, and then I will put the plant into the pot, and we'll see if we need to add some more soil, take away soil, see how things are doing, and then of course once all that is done, you always want to make sure that your plants get a nice healthy drink of water once they are all potted in. Then we want to make sure that we have everything that we could possibly want for all of this, and I'm double checking and saying I don't think that there's enough potting soil around it. And there probably was, but I just wanted to make sure. You will notice that I have some irrigation things there, the blue tip and the blue spike with the black spike with the blue tip on it is an irrigation drip watering thing, and that's what I'm going to put into the pots to make the plants grow really nicely. You've already seen me pot up the tomato in an earlier video. If you have not seen that, you can click that card where I plant the outdoor containers, but this one is a special container, which I think this should last in this container for at least a season or two. I'm going to bet more than 2 seasons, but we will see. Then we get that area cleaned up, because the next thing that I want to do is pot up, this was probably a mistake, we are going to pot up this petunia. Yes, I know that this thing is going to grow wildly, maybe, we will see. And I know that the tomato, which is a cherry, I think it's cherry tomato, is going to grow pretty big. But at the time we were thinking, no, it will be fine, it will be great. Water that in. I have these things all set up on my drip system, which is the same system that I had years ago, and it will go off by itself. The next one that I am repotting is my corn plant. My corn plant had been in a container for quite some time, and I bought the corn plant and just kept it in its container, its plant pot that it came with, for like a year, maybe a year and a half. Then I knew that, no, gotta plant it, it's gotta get out of that tiny little container, and so we have to do all the same steps before. Get the water, get the soil nice and wet, but this one has an extra thing that I had to think about, was I knew I wanted to put it in what I think they call these cover pots. Oh yeah, I just sprayed myself with water, so in case you're wondering why my shirt is suddenly wet, yeah, it happens. So we put it into this container. The soil is not wet enough right now, and so I'm going to get a little bit more water and also try to clean off my hands just a tiny bit. But the big thing about this is you might want to, after you wet your soil down, let it sit for a little while, which is something that I did not do originally. I wanted to get this going, but this is the new pot that it is going into. Yes, there is a coffee filter in the bottom of that because I knew I didn't want the soil to run out of it. Now we're going to check and see how well we can get the sides packed in there, so that way my corn plant can have enough soil on the sides to protect the sides, make sure that those roots don't dehydrate or anything like that, and make sure that there's going to be enough soil in the container, because these things do take a lot of soil, and I think it's always interesting to watch the soil sort of disappear. Now I'm nestling the pot down in the container to make sure that it is going to give me a perfect impression. Then I can lightly squeeze my corn plant out there. I did not rough up the roots because I did not think that they needed to be roughed up. So then we are going to go and move a lot of things out of our way because we want to have somewhat of a clean space to work with. But it's now time to think about putting the container back into its cover pot, I think some people call these. But I know that I want to put at least a tray underneath it, so that way the cover pot will, when you see it, you'll be like, oh, this makes a lot of sense now. So I get the dirt out of our way. I love those little those little plastic things. That's my cover pot. I will put my corn plant with all of its pots in there, and then slide it on down in. And I like this. I don't even mind the fact that it sticks up from there a little bit. Now you can see the plant a little bit better. It looks really good. It has had some damage, but I think it looks pretty good, so now I can put it into place. And that's what it looks like in place. That is in my living room. It's about 10 to 12 feet from the window. It is a south-facing window. Now we're going to start cleaning up some plants. I should have done this ages ago, but I know that I need to remove some of the dead leaves from the plants and things, so I'm going to go through and do that. I think everybody should do this every once in a while. This is just like the plant that we had just potted up. And a lot of these are dead. Like a lot of this is dead. So I need to remove that and get everything looking great. Okay, like I said, this is the end of it, but there's a surprise. Let me show you what the Venus Flytrap looks like now. Yes, those are flowers. I did not know Venus Flytraps flowered. I'm excited. I have been using the Venus Flytrap food. I think that's really helping. One of the things that I did find is that they give you the kit. Of course, you saw came with mealworms. Venus Flytrap doesn't care about freeze-dried mealworms. If you can get live animals, if you can get live insects or that sort of thing that can land on the Venus Flytrap and it can eat it, go ahead. Do that, or get the Venus Flytrap food. That has made the absolute 100% world of difference. Everything else is doing so remarkably well, like surprisingly well. And if you're wondering what exactly am I doing differently, or what do I do with my plants, I do feed them right now. I'm using Miracle Grow because that's what I had. I will feed them on once a week. Usually it's on a Monday during the growing season. And if you're wondering why we did this video inside, it's because it is so hot outside. Right now, I think it's like 95 degrees and it feels like it's 100. So yeah, we're inside today. And we're not moving around too much because even with the air conditioner going right now, it's still really, really hot. But I hope you are enjoying yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm pretty certain I remembered to give the names of all the plants that I repotted today. But if not, I'll go back in the editing and check that. At this time, I'd like to thank these wonderful people who are part of my Patreon and channel members. They get these videos early. They get a weekly vlog where they hear about the behind the scenes of what goes on in my life. And we get to talk about lots and lots of different things, and it's sort of a really nice place. And it's a good place for if you have something that you want to talk about, go ahead, come on over. You can join the channel members or the Patreon family, or you could just like and share this video. That really helps the videos, the YouTube algorithm know that this video is something that you should watch. And the other thing about this, and which I really want to stress, is like what you see, even though it's a heightened reality, it still is a reality. This is what my house, actually I did clean up a little bit before I did the video, but this is what my house looks like. And that's the big thing I do want you to take away from this is, while it is a heightened reality, this is really what happened. My Venus Flytrap from last time died. This one is doing really well. I studied up on it and I'm enjoying this. Plants make me happy, so I want you to find what makes you happy and go with that. Share that knowledge with people. If you have any ideas or if you know of a plant that I should get, let me know, because I'm always on the lookout for new plants. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope we get to see you again the next time you stop by.